folks, my name is Jen, and today we're here to talk about more poor financial decisions that I've made recently. But yeah, no, really, I ended up getting some more books over the past, like, month or two, so yeah, I ended up acquiring some more books fairly recently. Oops. That's what we're going with. Most of it was dress buying, and most of it is smut, so yep, here we go. The first is one that I either pre-ordered or ordered, I can't remember. It came in the mail recently though, and it's Future Boy by Michael J. Fox and Nell Fortenberry, and this is a nonfiction book. This is a memoir of that time period when Michael J. Fox was both filming Back to the Future and also finishing up, I believe it was season 3 of Family Ties, which was the show that he was on. That crazy time period when he was basically playing his character, Alex, on Family Ties in the daytime, and then going and playing Marty McFly in Back to the Future at night. And everything that was involved in that, like getting onto the project. Second, after Eric Stoltz had been kind of like cut loose from the project, and how he started, a little bit of him starting as an actor and getting his part in Family Ties and then moving into everything. So as you can see, it's a pretty thin little memoir. I already finished reading it. I will give my thoughts in my October wrap-up at some point. Yeah, it was an enjoyable little read. There's also a bunch of photos in here, both from like his younger years and also like filming and stuff like that. So yeah, nice little memoir there. So some of these I got secondhand, some of these I got from Barnes & Noble. So I started listening to a new podcast. Well, it's not a new podcast. It's been around for a little while, but it's new to me. It's called Reading Smut, and it's hosted by the same ladies who do Reading Glasses, which I have listened to a couple of that episodes of that podcast as well. Kind of a bookish, in general, podcast. Reading Smut is more focusing on smut and romance genre and like everything. So some of the episodes are talking about an aspect of that. Like one episode was about very smut. Why? There was another episode about selling romance books and stuff like that. And then in between like these episodes that focus on those things, they also have episodes that are doing in-depth reviews of whatever particular smut book that they'd read recently. And I heard about some of these books that I've gotten here. Actually, what I'd heard about for these first ones, I heard about a book called Help, I Got Abducted. I'm gonna mess up the title, but it's something like Help, I Got Abducted, and Now I'm Trapped in a Rom-Com, I believe is what it is. I ended up listening to an audiobook of that because it sounded intriguing. I'll have my thoughts about that in my October wrap-up too. But I figured, this is the flavor of stuff that I don't normally read, but it sounds entertaining, so I might as well just check that out. And I ended up pretty much enjoying it, to the point that I was like, what else has this author written, because I want to read them. And here's a couple of her other books that she's written. Her name is Kimberly Lemming, and this is a series that she has written. So far there's only 3 in this series, I think, and I don't know if there's going to be more or not, but they're kind of interconnected. So you have That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, and this is about cinnamon hot pepper. I know, it's a fantasy world, it's fine. So her family are spice traders, and she's also a spice trader and a major foodie. And one drunken night, she's heading back home from like a celebration and hears someone in the woods that sounds like they need help. She tries to help them, realizes that she's actually helped a demon. And in this world, when they say demon, they don't literally mean like demon, they mean like demon like monster is more what they mean. Or cryptid, I guess, or whatever. They don't necessarily mean like literal demon from hell kind of thing. They're using that word to describe mythical creatures or monsters or whatever like that, because this guy's a dragon, actually. So the dragon's name is Fallon, and so Fallon ends up revealing to her that he wants to kill this evil witch who's placed this terrible spell on all of his people, and he's basically just dragging her along on this mission to kill this evil witch. There's more than that involved, but there's like a romancy stuff going on. He's a dragon. Pretty cool. The second book is That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. And this involves, I won't give any more names, I don't think, of the characters because there might be spoilers. Anyway, this involves a local cheesemaker who ends up accidentally throwing a love potion away. It was being given to her and she freaks out and she kind of chucks it away, and it hits this werewolf in the back of the head, and she thinks that he's only interested in her because of the love potion. He swears that she is his fated mate. Shenanigans ensue. More continuation of the story started in book 1, and then there is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Human, and this is about another dragon that is introduced at some point in one of the other books, and he ends up coming across a human, and he's drunk and like drugged at one point, and he ends up saving her, kind of marrying her, essentially. It's like a fake marriage thing, or sort of it's more complicated than that. Anyway, shenanigans ensue. So I have already read all 3 of these. I enjoyed them immensely. I figured I would enjoy them because despite the fact that I realized there were parts of the Alien book of hers that I had read that I realized, parts of this are not really my cup of tea, I still enjoyed the writing overall. It made me laugh a lot, actually. I was very pleased with these and still pleasantly surprised because I didn't know if I would love them that much, but they were very entertaining, and I was like, I need more smut in my life because that's how I'm coping right now, is just reading and writing it. So, I mean, here we are. I ended up getting some more, and one of these, actually this is more monster smut, I guess, which is also one that was mentioned on the podcast that I mentioned, and this one actually is one that was reviewed on there. I thought it sounded entertaining and I thought I might enjoy it, and there's also aspects of it that sounded right up my alley, so I decided to grab it. It is Bull Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon. I have read a couple of Ruby Dixon's before. I've read the first 2 Ice Planet Barbarians books, which pleasantly surprised me by how I didn't hate them. I was fully expecting to not like them. I wouldn't call them the best romances I've ever read in my life, but they were entertaining, and I didn't dislike them, so I was like, you know what, why not? I can try another one of her books. Let's go for it. Bull Moon Rising. How do I describe this? I have not read this yet. Actually, the ones that I'm going to talk about, I just barely got in the mail today, so Hence why I'm filming this instead of my September wrap-up finally. I really don't know how to describe it. I'm just gonna read this to you. As a holder's daughter, Asbeth Honoree knows the importance of magical artifacts, which is why it's a disaster that our father has gambled all theirs away. Now that our family is in danger of losing their hold and their heads, which I think in this world their hold is basically like their, I think they are like some kind of noble or landowners or something like that. If anyone finds out the truth, they don't have these artifacts anymore, Asbeth decides to do something about it. She'll join the Royal Artifactual Guild and the adventurers who explore ancient underground ruins to retrieve coveted arcane items. It's a great plan with one big problem. The guild won't let her train because she is a woman. Asbeth needs a chaperone of some kind. The best way to get around this problem, marry someone who will let her become an apprentice. Who better than a surly guild member who requires a favor of his own? He's a minotaur, that's fine, who's also her teacher, also fine, and he's about to go into Rut, which is where it gets tricky. He also has no idea if she's a noble, oops, and he'll want nothing to do with her if he discovers her real identity. Now she just has to pass the guild test, thwart a title hunter, and save her hold, and survive a rut with her monstrous horned husband, who she might be falling in love with. Rutting? Okay, I don't know how I want to describe that. It's like animals. It's like, apparently a bull moon rising, or this bull moon, or whatever, is, minotaurs, I guess, every so many years have like a period that they are horny beyond all belief, and they just, it's like I don't know, it's a whole thing, crazy synopsis, a basic plot shit happening that he needs her help because he needs someone to rut into, essentially. And that's that. I know, that sounds pretty insane and what the fuck, but you know what? Crazy plots are part of this woman's writing that I've read so far anyway, so you know what, we're going with it. I like that there's like end paper art in a paperback, like that doesn't happen usually. Yeah, anyway, that's Bull Moon Rising. It sounds entertaining. I'm here for it. And then, I didn't hear about this one, but while I was looking at some other ones, like I was ordering that, this popped up. And I thought, you know what? That sounds like a crazy good time, and exactly what I would have been into when I was younger. When I was in high school and college, I read a lot of paranormal fiction, which I will talk about in a second. And a lot of it was like romance novels. A lot of them I borrow from one of my best friends. I read a lot of them, mostly vampire and werewolves. I was very into vampires and werewolves in the early aughts, like most people, I think, at that time. But I also would read about other animal shifters, dragons, you know, stuff like that, but mostly vampires and werewolves. So I was like, hell, I just read a werewolf one, what if I try to find a vampire one anyway? And this, I was thinking about that in the back of my head, and this popped up as a suggested read, and I was like, oh hell yeah, let's go for it. It is My Roommate is a Vampire. It's by Jenna Levine. It says, Cassie Greenberg loves being an artist, but it's a tough way to make a living. On the brink of eviction, she is desperate when she finds a too-good-to-be-true apartment in a beautiful Chicago neighborhood. She knows there has to be a catch. Only someone with a secret to hide would rent out a room for that price. Of course, her new roommate, Frederick J. Fitzwilliam, is far from normal. He sleeps all day, is out at night on business, and talks like he walked out of a Regency romance novel. He also leaves Cassie heart-melting notes around the apartment, cares about her art, and asks about her day, and he doesn't look half-bad shirtless on the rare occasions they're both home and awake. But when Cassie finds bags of blood in the fridge that definitely weren't there earlier, Frederick has to come clean. Cassie's sexy new roommate is a vampire, and he has a proposition for her. I don't know if the proposition is she be his blood bank, she be his girlfriend, I don't know, but I'm here for finding out. Yes, the last monster smut. I've got a couple of normal romance novels too, but this is actually one of the series that I read back in the day. I was just thinking about how much the Kimberly Lemming books reminded me of the shit that me and my friend used to read back in the day. and I was like, I'm gonna look this up and try to find it and, you know, look for it and stuff like that. And I found it, and I was like, I almost ordered all of the books. And then I was like, no, that's a bad idea. I should just get the first one, reread it, see if it still holds up, or at least holds up enough where I'm interested in continuing the series and actually owning it. And then I will, hi Bean, and then I will see how I feel. So, it is book 1 of, I think it's the Aisling Gray series, I think is what it's called. It is You Slay Me by Katie McAllister. Katie McAllister was one of those authors that, yeah, read a lot of shit from her back in the day. This is about a dragon, or it involves dragons. Says, my prior career as a courier began and ended when I traveled to Paris to deliver a 600-year-old golden dragon statue and learned I was a guardian, thus a keeper of the gates to hell to you mere mortals. This I found out from Drake Vireo, a scrumptiously sexy, in human form at least, real-life dragon. Then he stole my artifact out from under my nose and from under the dead body of the person I was supposed to deliver it to. After tracking him down to a local bar, I discovered I'm also a wyvern's mate. And wouldn't you know, Drake is a wyvern. He couldn't be just some underling, he had to be the head dragon, but the fact that he is the prime suspect behind the murders in Paris's immortal underworld, murders I must solve in order to clear my suddenly soiled name, means it will take some convincing to get me to partake of the sensual pleasures he offers. Just because I'm naive doesn't mean I'm easy. Other than being a murder suspect, conjuring up a demon in the form of a shaggy Newfoundland, and fending off the advances of a horny dragon, I'm having a wonderful time in Paris. Shenanigans abound. I remember, I don't think I read all of them at the time, but I know I read at least the first 2 books, and I really loved them, so we'll see how I feel about it now. And then the other 2 romance novels I got actually are part of a trilogy that I read. I read the first book of, not last year, I think it was the year before. It was Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and by Talia Hibbert, and I really, really liked it, but I just never had gotten the other 2 books in the series. And I think it's called the Brown Sisters trilogy. It's these 3 girls, and these are, yeah, they're romances. And I know that book 2 was the one I believe that I was really excited for because it's the trope that I really like. So I grabbed books 2 and 3. 2 is Take a Hint, Dani Brown. This says, Danica Brown knows what she wants: professional success, academic renown, and an occasional roll in the hay to relieve all the career-driven tension, but romance, been there, done that, burn the t-shirt. Romantic partners, whatever their gender, are a distraction at best and a drain at worst. So she asked the universe for the perfect friend with benefits, someone who knows the score and knows their way around to the bedroom. When big brooding security guard Zafir Ansari rescues Dani from a workplace fire drill gone wrong, it's an obvious sign. PhD student Dani and former rugby player Zaf are destined to sleep together. Before she can explain the fact to him, a video of the heroic rescue goes viral. Suddenly, half the internet is shipping Dr. Rugby, and Zaf is begging Dani to play along. Turns out his sports charity for kids could use the publicity. Lying to help children, who on earth could refuse? Dani's plan is simple: fake a relationship in public, seduce Zaf behind the scenes. The trouble is, grumpy Zaf is secretly a romantic, and he's determined to corrupt Dani's stone-cold realism. Before long, he's tackling her fears into the dirt, but the former sports star has issues of his own, and the walls around his heart are as thick as his, thighs. So it's a fake relationship, turn it into a real one. Love that shit. I eat that shit up. So, yeah, I was pretty excited about it when I first heard about this, trilogy, and yeah, still excited about it. I think when I read these 2, I'm probably gonna do a reread of the first book, just for funsies. And yeah, then book 3 is Act Your Age, Eve Brown. I believe Eve is the youngest. Says she is a certified hot mess. No matter how hard she strives to do right, her life always goes horribly wrong. So she's given up trying, but when her personal brand of chaos ruins an expensive wedding, someone had to liberate those poor doves. Her parents draw the line. It's time for Eve to grow up and prove herself, even though she's not entirely sure how. Jacob Wayne is in control, always. The bed and breakfast owner is on a mission to dominate the hospitality industry, and he expects nothing less than perfection. So when a purple-haired tornado of a woman turns up out of the blue to interview for his open chef position, he tells her the brutal truth, not a chance in hell. Then she hits him with her car, supposedly by accident. Now his arm is broken, his B&B is understaffed, and the dangerously unpredictable Eve is fluttering around trying to help. Before long, she's infiltrated his work, kitchen, and his spare bedroom. Jacob hates everything about it, or rather he should. Sunny, chaotic Eve This is a natural-born nemesis, but the longer these two enemies spend in close quarters, the more their animosity turns into something else. So it sounds like Grumpy Sunshine, which is... I wouldn't say I'm like overly into Grumpy Sunshine. I guess I'm more into a specific subset of it, which is the Black Cat Golden Retriever. More specifically, if the Black Cat is a girl and the Golden Retriever is a boy. But you know what? I'll read it. I'm good with that. And then the last book I got is not smutty at all. It was just on my saved list. I'd kind of forgotten that I had it in my saves until I was just kind of looking through them, and I was like, oh yeah, I really wanted to get that. And so I decided, oh hell, why not? It is called Sweet Bean Paste. It is by Durian Tsukigawa, and this is more of like a friendship found family kind of sweet tale. Actually winner of an award, I guess. It says, Sentaro has failed. He has a criminal record, drinks too much, and his dream of becoming a writer is just a distant memory. With only the blossoming of the cherry trees to mark the passing of time, he spends his days in a tiny confectionery shop selling dorayaki, a type of pancake filled with sweet bean paste. Until, that is, Tokyu comes into his life. An elderly woman with disfigured hands and a troubled past, she makes the best sweet bean paste Sentaro has ever tasted. The unlikeliest of friendships blossoms, but it will take all of their resolve and plenty of pancakes to protect themselves when Tokyu's dark secret comes to light. So I guess that's Sentaro, that's Tokyu, and I have no idea who that is. She's in a schoolgirl uniform, so she must be somebody else who comes into the mix. But I have no idea what to expect from this book at all, but it sounds like it's got some found family elements to it, some friendship and stuff, and I'm excited to get into that. Yeah, those are the books that I recently acquired. You might hear another book haul in a couple of months after, inevitably birthday and Christmas and all that jazz. But I'm gonna try not to get anything else. I'll try to be settled with these because, guys, I have so much to read. It's crazy. Anyway, those were what I grabbed recently. Let me know if you have read any of them. No spoilers, of course. So anyway, yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for always watching. And I will see you next time.